Saint Paul VI is probably one of the latest additions to the universal calendar of the Church, as he only died just over 40 years ago in 1978, and so he is in the living memory of many of us. For the first part of his life, he worked in the Vatican Secretariat of State and in the Roman Curia for some 3 decades. And there are lots and lots of other priests who do exactly the same, and perhaps they get lost in history. Paul came more to fame when in 1954 he was named and appointed as the Archbishop of Milan. Whilst he was there, he sought to win for Christ the disaffected workers of the city who had fallen away from the gospel and the church. He visited factories and workplaces to meet, to personally encounter and bring the light of Christ to people. He named himself the Archbishop of Workers. In 1963, he was elected Pope, succeeding to John the 23rd, and his papacy, his pontificate, is important for us as Anglicans in at least 3 ways. The first is the shape of the liturgy. The second is ecumenism, so the unity of the Church, and the third is peace. In the case of liturgy, well, he published a new edition, a new order for the Mass. At that time, and even now, that missal has been heavily criticized because it was seen as a almost complete break with the past. However one may feel about it, the reality still stands. He published a missal which in time influenced other churches outside the Roman Catholic Church, including our own. During the week, we use his own missal, fair enough. But on Sunday, the liturgy we use for our Mass is heavily influenced by his publication. And so is for other churches which are not, like us, in communion with Rome. On the case of ecumenism, there are 2 key points. In 1965, he met the Patriarch of the Orthodox Churches, Athenagoras. And at that meeting, both him and Athenagoras did something incredible. They revoked the mutual excommunication on each other's churches, which had been in place since the split between the Orthodox and the Western Church. Closer to home, he met the Archbishop of Canterbury of the time, Michael Ramsey, who is also remembered in the church calendar. And at that meeting, he signed with the Archbishop of Canterbury a joint declaration committing the 2 churches, the Anglican and the Roman Catholic Church, to mutual respect, to serious dialogue on the Scripture, on the tradition of the Church, committing the churches to fraternal love and to deeper charity. That was an important step towards ecumenism, towards the unity of the Church, which is carried on now as our previous archbishops and the current one, Justin, have all met with the popes. At that meeting with Michael Ramsey, Paul gave an important symbolic gift to Michael Ramsey. He gave him his episcopal ring, and there are some beautiful black and white photographs of him putting the ring on Michael Ramsey's finger. The symbol of episcopal authority, recognizing the Archbishop of Canterbury as a partner in the gospel. And third, he worked tirelessly for peace. He traveled to the United Nations in New York to speak about peace, which was an unprecedented act. And in 1972, on World Peace Day, he laid out a simple roadmap to peace, not just for Christians, but to everyone willing to listen, saying, if you want peace, work for justice. As we commemorate Paul VI, and as we ask for his prayers for a new evangelization, we should think about how his example can influence our life. How do we work for the unity of the Church? Is that something important to us? And if so, what do we do about it? And also, how do we work for peace, for justice, so that our whole world may flourish? May St. Paul help us with his prayers.
All glory to